Hey guys, welcome back to Jason and Joni Builds. We're back in the shop today on our 1966 Bronco project. Today we're going to be installing the Tom's Bronco front disc brakes conversion kit on our Dana 30. So if you guys haven't subscribed, please do so. Give us a thumbs up. And here we go. Hey guys, hope everything's been going well for you. One of our, our subscribers, Joe from Texas, he had emailed me and asked me if I would show installing the front brakes and changing the front universal joints on our Dana 30. I was going to wait until I painted it, but actually I got to thinking about that a little bit more. I'm going to be beating this thing up, moving it around the shop, and it'd probably be best if I wait on painting it anyways. But what I'd like to do today is we'll go ahead and put new joints in our axles, and we're going to basically dry fit all the brakes, all the brake system and hubs and all on our Dana 30, and maybe that'll help him get the information he needs. All right, so I have one of my axle shafts here removed, and to remove the universal joint, it's pretty simple. You have these retainers that are on the inside. You see this little clip here. You have one on each one of your bearing caps. So basically the way I do this is just get a screwdriver or something. You get it started and pop it out. See on the back side, see it jumps out. Anyways, that's why I'll get another one, see if I can be a little clearer. Like that. Okay. We have two more. Almost hit Joni in the face.
You would have known if you hit me in the face.
All right. Okay, so now we'll go to the vise and I'll show you how I remove the joint from the axles. All right, again, this is a trick my granddad showed me. I lay it across the vise, and then I just want to hit it right here across the back. You don't want to hit your sealing surface. Flip it. Then we'll do the same thing again for the other side. This is a little more aggravating to hold. Just working it out. You can use your press too, but I like that method. I think I can move this out a little bit and it'll come a little bit more. Like that. Okay guys, Joni let me know that I wasn't being very thorough because she had no idea what I was doing. All right, so just in case you don't know, what I was driving out was the bearing caps for the universal joint. So, and they don't have to be reused. You don't have to reuse the center section. You get all that new. All your clips are new. So, sorry if I left out some details there. But this is the universal joint, so The needle bearings are all inside, everything comes new. So the way I go about this, guys, is I just try to be careful with these. You know, you want to make sure all your needles are lined up and they haven't fallen over. I've got one set I already cleaned up. I showed you disassembling that one, so we'll put this one together. So basically, I try to push it through, get it set. I'll hold this one. You want to kind of split the difference between your two. And then I put them in the vise. Just make sure that they didn't get. You don't want one of these needles to get crossed up in there. I guess you guys can see how this notch has come through on this one. I can go ahead and put a keeper on this one. It's got a little valley. You just take your little black snap ring, push it on. Now what I'll do is we'll have to drive this other one in with a hammer, and then it'll push this one over and it'll lock itself against that. Anyways, the side of the yoke. Okay, so now we need to drive the universal joint down so this keeper contacts the yoke there, and I just put a socket around that bottom. That way, this, you know, the portion of your bearing housing can slide through the socket. All right, now you see that's good and tight, and that opened up our valley here, if you can see that. Put it there where I'm pointing. So now we can put our retainer in. Again, it's just a snap fit. Okay, the joint isn't quite centered, so I'll just take this one and just sort of try to pop it back just a little bit and split the difference. Because you can tell when you've got one of them in a bind. So that's pretty close right there. So I moved over here to this other table because I have a little bit more room. Anyways, we just slide our other yoke on, and it's basically the same thing again. I'll start off with pushing it way over to the other side. All right, so what I end up doing, guys, is it's just, I can't hold it all by myself, so I got Joni, she's helping me. She's got the outboard shaft. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and set this cup, just get it pushed in. And then we'll get the other side. Now we can take our other bearing cap and we can set it in and do our best not to get these needles crossed up. Got it?
Got it.
Alright, we'll put it back in the vise. And now I can put in my keepers. Do like we did a minute ago, guys. I'm gonna knock this one down just a little bit. That's good, I think. As long as that keeper will snap in there. And it does. Again, I'll just sort of check the depth. They look good. The joint feels good. You know, I don't feel any binding or anything. So we should be in good shape. Okay guys, so we've got a universal joint put on our axle. So we need to go ahead and put our new outer seals in. We put the inner seals in when we put the differential in. So now we're going to the outer. And just like any seal, these just get knocked in. You just want to make sure it's flush all the way around. Let's get our axle put in. And I went ahead and cleaned up my sealing surfaces. Inside, outside. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put some grease on it. Guys, just make sure you have plenty of grease on the shaft and sealing surface where it splines up, so you don't have any trouble there. We just slide it in. Those caps are really close. I didn't explain a second ago, my axles don't have the slingers on the end, so I don't exactly know when the year changed. Anyways, if yours has got a ring, it just takes a different seal than mine used, and it installs the same way. So there's really basically the only difference. So we need to go ahead and get our seal put into our spindle, and it has a little basically, oil seal inside here that it just sort of presses in, and then they have this spacer here, they call it. This one sort of feels like plastic or some type of material, but it's got a radius edge. The radius edge goes up, so basically it just sits in here, and then you install your new seal. And again, these seals go with the Dana 30. And then you have a bellows style seal that goes with a Dana 44. So I'm just using my seal driver. I believe they said flush this up. So, when I say flush it up, flush the seal up around the edge. Okay, so with our seals in and our spacer, I'm just gonna again give it a little bit of grease. And right here where the needle bearings inside there will ride. And I don't know if you can tell, if you look at this shaft, it's got a radiused edge at the back at the transition, and that's why you have to have it turned the way you do. That little spacer. Okay, the Dana 30 modification to the Knuckle is very little, but with the 30, all you have to do is take off this one triangle here. It gets your caliper gets real close to this, or it hits it, so you just have to relieve it. Basically cut it off flat with the edge of the knuckle. Okay guys, that's all we had to do. And if this isn't enough, when we sort of do our mock-up, I can take off a little bit more. All right guys, I don't see a left or a right on these, so I don't guess it matters. But once we have that cut off, we have our stub shaft, seals, everything ready to go. We'll go ahead and mount our backing plate. And they supply new fasteners for all of this. Y'all remember what I'm doing today is kind of dry fitting, checking the fitment on everything, and just sort of showing you guys how all this stuff goes together. So typically you're gonna have to pack your bearings with grease, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna install the seal in the back. I just it's going to come back off, and I don't want to deal with that grease on everything right now. So if y'all can bear with me going through a dry fit, that's what we're going to do. And I really don't even want to put the pads on my rotors, because the rotors have got that, I forget, but it's just a very light coat of grease on there to keep them from rusting. So I don't even want to wipe that off. So when I mount the caliper, I'll probably pop the brake pads out. So I went ahead and put my bearing up here. Typically your bearing would be in your hub with your oil seal holding it on. But again, for obvious reasons, I'm just going to do it like this. Slide our other bearing in. And then you start with the first nut's got the post on it. That's your locking post. Let's see if I can get it started. Right now, it won't fall off. Kit comes with the proper socket to tighten down your nut. As I mentioned a minute ago, the bolts that hold on the backing plate and the hub, you torque those 35 to 45 foot-pounds. I'm not going to torque them right now again. And then when you're setting your bearing, right, you put your first adjusting nut in, you take your tool, put your torque wrench on there, and you torque it to 50 foot-pounds as you're rotating your hub, and then you back it off 90 degrees. And what that does, that gives you your preload on your bearings. And then once you've done that, you'll take your locking ring. It's got a knot on it. You want to hope where you've got it will mate up, but if it won't, you'll have to adjust it until it does. So right now it doesn't quite make it up, so I'll loosen it just a little bit. Okay, so you see now the post is inside. Oops, come on. The post is inside the hole there. Come down, they're not seeing it. Okay, yeah, right in here you can see the post is inside the lock now. And then you'll take your jam nut and lock those two together. Alright, so now the outer nut that we just put on, you torque it 50 to 80 foot-pounds. So say 75. I don't know why they give you such a wide range. So 50 to 80 foot-pounds. So let's look at our hub. Okay, with the Tom's Bronco Parts hub, you'll remove the two screws that they had securing it together and just separate it so you can install the inner portion. You just want to get it slid on and get it seated. Then you have a snap ring that will actually go in here. Here, it's easy enough. Alright, that's snapped in. And then you have your other one, which helps hold it in, holds your shaft. That one snaps in place. Hey guys, I wanted to show you this real quick. When we did the video a minute ago, the axle was a little tight, and I didn't understand why. Right back in here, the axle going to the carrier, and when I would try to spin the stub shaft out here inside the hub, it was real tight. Basically, it was binding between the seal and the seal at the hub up here. So I pulled the axle back out after we did the video, and I took the bearing driver and drove the seal in deeper. Well, that fixed that problem that I didn't have. It wasn't binding anymore. My shaft would move. I could spin it by hand very easy. But then the problem is, Tom's tells you to disregard the small C-clip. It said you don't need it with this kit. And that was the one I put in up here. Well, without it, the axle would float back here, and this will actually contact the housing there. So, but if you put the C-clip in, everything operates now like it should. See, if I lock it, you hear it lock and it spins the axle. Unlock it, it's free, spinning no problem. So I don't understand why they did that, or why they tell you that in the instructions. I'm putting the keeper in, and that keeps this axle from walking, because the only other thing that keeps this axle from walking and hitting that housing is that small retainer or the seal itself, and there's no way that seal would stand up to this thing rotating on it forever. It would just eat that seal up. So that's just going to be my little addition to this. That's my 2 cents, take it or leave it, but I like it much better now. So if you guys disagree or have a question about what I'm talking about here, please feel free to give me a shout, contact me via email or in the comments below. This is just what I found, and maybe it'll help save you guys some headaches. Okay, so when you want to install the outer portion of your locking hub, there's 2 spots inside the housing. These line up with your locks here, but there's only one way that they'll go back in, and you have this notch here and this notch here. So if you have this clocked wrong, you won't get this won't seat, and you won't be able to pull this oil seal up against the hub. So if you have it turned right, it should snug up pretty good. Just like that. I'm not going to put in all the screws. I'm only going to put in these 2. That way it'll hold it in place. But when you go back, you put them all in. When you're finishing up, tighten them to 25 to 35 inch-pounds. All right, so here's our caliper for the left side, and you'll know your left side from your right, usually because you're going to have your bleeder screw on the top. Okay, so that way you can get all the air out of your system when you're doing brake bleeding. I removed the brake pads, as I mentioned a little while ago. I don't want them in there right now. So we got to get it all slid together. Okay guys, and this is why you have to clearance the knuckle. So watch, when I slide the knuckle in, when the brakes move, and now the caliper's contacting the knuckle, that doesn't matter, because if you come around here, the front side, you'd see I would be completely out of brakes. That would be into the metal so bad. So we're in good shape right there, because your caliper's got to be able to move freely. And lastly, it comes with some real nice braided steel brake lines, and comes with all the fasteners that you need, and it's even got the clip where it clips it into the factory mounting location. I hope this was helpful in getting your front end set up, putting the universal joints in, putting your axles in, seals in, installing a Tom's Bronco front disc brake conversion. So it's basically, you have to mimic and do the other side. I'm not going to show that. I don't want to bore you guys. But I really like the looks of this kit. I can't wait to be driving it and seeing how good this thing stops. So, but anyways, that was pretty painless. The Dana 30 modification, knuckle modification, is 2 minutes. So that was really easy. The parts all fit very well. So I'm proud of this part. Tom's Bronco did a good job. Anyways, if you guys ever have any question, or there's something that you would like to see me work on, or something I could help you with, do it, because I'm doing this anyways. I don't mind showing it in video. Just drop me a line, jasonandjonibuilds@gmail.com. So that email's set up for you guys, so email me anytime. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. You'll have a great day.